Hello, my name is Lucas. I am the founder of Data Marketing School, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to set up Microsoft Clarity with Google Tag Manager. Before we dive into the Microsoft Clarity product, it's important to understand the difference between quantitative and qualitative data. Understand that it's two different types of data that are necessary to correctly understand what's actually happening on a website. Because GA4 or Matum or Payweek Pro or whatever analytics tool you're using on your website is going to answer questions like how many, what, where. For example, you would know that you have, 80% bounce rate on your website, but you don't know why people bounce. You would have, for example, like a funnel that converts at 5%, but you don't know why 95% of people don't go until the end of the funnel. And this is basically what a tool like Microsoft Clarity, but it's not the only one. Microsoft Clarity is free, but you could use as well Hotjar, Full Story, Mouseflow, SmartLook. I don't have any partnerships with any of these platforms, but this is just as an example. This kind of tool will give you a bit more insights on what's actually happening on the website. I mean, you would see actually the session recording like if you were the user actually browsing the website. You would maybe understand that one specific button is not working. You would maybe understand that at some point inside the funnel, the user doesn't understand what it needs to do to go to the next step. So for example, you would have rage clicks inside Microsoft Clarity. It's basically people clicking often on a specific spot that would explain that maybe something is not working on this specific page. The first step is you detect something that is not normal or that you want to optimize on GA4. Then when you have identified this specific figure, you try to determine why it's happening using Microsoft Clarity. Then you fix it, you measure the impact inside GA4 to see if this figure that you've been monitoring has increased or decreased depending on what is the impact you expect. This is basically the loop that you're going to do for each key performance indicator that you have on your website. Now that you have the why we should use Microsoft Clarity, I'm going to actually show you the product. Just a little break here to tell you can hire me as a freelancer. From audit to optimization, I will handle your tracking for you. Send me an email to lucas@data-marketing-school.com. Now back to video. So this is a Microsoft Clarity demo that is available on their official website. So it's a free tool. You don't have any limits on how many sessions or how much data you send them. Since it's a free tool, Microsoft will gather some data across websites. So here basically you do have your live users, live sessions happening here. So if you click on this camera icon, you would see your live recording. So people currently browsing your website. And if you click on a specific recording, you would have the session replay here. You can see literally what the user is actually doing on the website. You can also look at heatmaps. So if you take this heat map, you can see where people click the most, how many clicks on which area, on which button. You can see the scroll map as well. Most of users scroll until this point. You have only 25% of users scrolling until this point. And you also have the attention map. You can detect where the attention is lower. So basically this is scroll stopping. So here people stop here. It seems to be a bug because the website is not appearing correctly. So you can also add more filters. For example, I can filter on a specific page. I can filter on a specific device, browser, only for people coming from Chrome, apply. And then you can look at all this information directly inside Clarity. So here you have some insights as well. For example, the rage clicks. So you can see, for example, here we have 11 sessions with rage clicks. And here you have at the bottom where the rage click happened. Well, it doesn't seem to be a real rage click. It's just like people clicking many times. You can see here the user may be expecting this button click to trigger something quickly, but it doesn't seem to be happening for this user. So if it was your website, the idea here would be to investigate, does this button actually work all the time? Is there something you can do to improve the experience when people click? So this is basically the workflow. So the idea here would be when you first use the product to actually spend a lot of time in Microsoft Clarity to understand all the reports, how you can make this tool your own, specific to your use cases, specific to your website. Which pages you actually care about, which pages you actually need to optimize currently because you spend a lot of money on ads. Now, that you know how it's working, we're going to create a new project. So this is something that you would need to do if you want to install Microsoft Clarity on your website. So here I already have some projects inside my account, but here if you're new to Microsoft Clarity, you won't see anything. Click on new project. It's going to be a test one, test project, example.com, industry, entertainment, add new project. And here Microsoft Clarity will give you basically different options to install it on your website. I'm going to click on get tracking code, and here it's going to give me a project ID. And if you go to settings here inside your project, you can see the project ID is appearing inside the overview as well. So I'm going to copy the project ID. I'm going to go to Google Tag Manager, and here I'm going to install a new tag, and I'm going to go inside the community template gallery and look for Microsoft Clarity. I'm going to take the official template, Microsoft Clarity official, add to workspace, add, and then I'm going to paste my project ID. So this is the only thing that you need to do here. And inside the triggering section, I'm going to select initialization all pages. I'm going to save. I'm going to save again because I want to keep the same name here. We do have this new tag installed. You can see the type is still not working correctly here. So I'm just going to reload the page, and now it's fine. So I'm using the Microsoft Clarity official template, and this is the only basic setup that you need to do to install Microsoft Clarity. So I'm going to reopen the preview. Just a little break here to tell you can hire me as a freelancer. From audit to optimization, I will handle your tracking for you. Send me an email to lucas at data-marketing-school.com. Now back to video. And then I'm going to check here that on initialization, my Microsoft Clarity tag is actually working. And if I go to my website, I can filter here for clarity.ms. So actually here, on this request, we do see our project ID, and we do see as well the Microsoft Clarity library being loaded correctly on the website. And then we see collect requests. If I go back to my test project here and go back to getting started, actually you can see the recordings menu, which is not gray anymore. If I go here and if I go to the live recordings, I can see my session here. And if I play it, so we may need to give it a bit more time here. So let's just scroll, maybe below the page. So now it's working. You can actually validate that your implementation inside Google Tag Manager is working correctly. So you can see here with only one tag, you can send data to Microsoft Clarity, so it's very easy to set up. It's going to be the transition for the next part, but you can see here I've got one user ID, which is JWS, and then another one because I reloaded the page. So here, Clarity is not understanding that I'm actually the same user because I didn't give my consent. So if we look inside the cookies here that are being set on my domain, so here I'm on a local IP, but it's going to be the same on your domain. I don't see any cookies. So thing is, Microsoft Clarity inside Europe will need consent to store cookies and to actually aggregate session recordings inside a user in their interface. So if your users are coming from the European Economic Area, United Kingdom or Switzerland, it won't actually set the cookies automatically. So what you can do to get Microsoft Clarity to set the cookies would be to call this API, which is available inside the browser. So I'm going to show you how to do this correctly inside GTM, but here it's just to show you the behavior. So if I enter and I go back to my cookies, I do see two cookies here, which is CLCK and CLSK, which are cookies required to store data under a specific user in Microsoft Clarity. And then if I reload the page several times, you can see here on this session that on which I set cookies, that even if I reloaded the page several times, I don't see any other live recordings here. And if I go here, you can see that the page is reloading here and it's actually kept under the same session. This is something that you need to implement if you have users coming from Europe, United Kingdom, or Switzerland, the idea would be to trigger this based on your cookie banner. So when people click I accept on the cookie banner, the idea would be to trigger this code basically. I'm just going to show you how to do this without a specific cookie banner, but as a general example. So to manage the consent, I will use a tag from Marcus, which is called Microsoft Clarity Events. Add to workspace, add, and then you can see here that you can click on set consent. What you can do here is create a variable that is going to be granted or denied depending on the consent, and trigger this on a specific data layer event that is being triggered by your CMP. So depending on the cookie banner you're using, the event name is going to be different here. It's an event name that is going to notify the data layer consent has been updated. So I'm just going to keep it general. It's not going to work here, but I'm going to name this consent update. So here I'm going to create variables so I can simulate as close as possible the behavior of a cookie banner. So the idea here would be to create a new variable, and I'm going to keep it simple here. But I'm just going to look for analytics key inside the data layer, and then I'm going to create another one for add. So I'm just going to create, the adds key like this. And then, so basically it will look for these values to set the consent, and then click save. Open a preview again, and I'm going to delete cookies because I'm going to start from scratch as if I were a new visitor on the website. And then here inside my data layer, I would simulate basically a click on I accept button on the cookie banner. So here I'm going to enter data layer dot push. Event is going to be consent update. Analytics and ads is going to be set to granted. And then, so if I check here, consent update is fired correctly, and it does fire the tag that we configured before. Here, if I go to my cookies again, I can see that the corresponding cookies are being set correctly. So this is actually, this consent update is of course triggered by the cookie banner, and you will of course need to adapt your variables based on what's available inside the data layer with the specific consent update event of the cookie banner. But this is how this should be working if you have users inside the European Economic Area. And now I'm going to show you something else. It's going to be Microsoft Clarity Smart Events. So basically the idea is to send events to Microsoft Clarity. And if I go to settings, I can see smart events here. So basically when you create a new event, you have different options. So you can search, click text, create events directly from Microsoft Clarity. You can also use the API, which is the method we are going to be using for this tutorial. Auto events. Auto events is basically events that are going to be automatically detected by Microsoft Clarity once you have enough traffic being sent to Microsoft Clarity. Page visits. You can base your smart events based on page path or whatever you can find inside the URL. So we're going to use the API events because this is something I recommend for any tool that you connect through Google Tag Manager, because it's going to be the most manual way, but it's also the most accurate way to do it. So I'm going to create a new tag here. Just a little break here to tell you can hire me as a freelancer. From audit to optimization, I will handle your tracking for you. Send me an email to lucas@data-marketing-school.com. Now back to video. Select again Microsoft Clarity Events, and here you can see you have the send event option, and you can trigger an event name. I don't know if you have an e-commerce website, lead generation website, or a SaaS or any other website. The idea here would be to send all your important events to Microsoft Clarity, so that you will be able to, in the future, across all your session recordings, for example, filter on sessions that triggered a purchase event or a session that triggered generate lead event because someone requested a quote. You have many use cases possible here, so I'm going to do it for a fake purchase event, which is not happening on the website, but I'm going to create the trigger DLE for data layer event purchase. Save. Then I'm going to enter purchase here. You have different ways of setting up this event tag. So basically you can say I want to set up one tag per event. You will have as many tags as you have events available in Google Tag Manager. This is something I tend to recommend, one tag, one event, to structure your Google Tag Manager. But some people like to condense all events inside one tag and use the event variable here, which is going to take the event name from the data layer. And here, for example, add another event, for example, add to cart or begin checkout, whatever. So it's up to you how you configure it. But the idea is to send smart events to Microsoft Clarity in order to have a bit more data to filter your session recordings, actually prioritize which session recordings you're going to look at first. Click Save, Microsoft Clarity event purchase, save. Okay, so now we're going to open a preview again and we're going to test this purchase event. I'm going to, instead of consent update, I'm going to enter purchase just to simulate a real purchase event happening on a website. Enter. You can see here that my purchase event did fire. If I look inside the network, here you won't see anything specific here that you can detect as being a purchase request. So this is something you will be able to see your smart events on your recordings here afterwards to filter. Once you have a lot of recordings, you can here go to user actions and then smart events. And then here, once you have smart events available inside your property, to filter on a specific event and click apply. So that's all for today. We have installed Microsoft Clarity. I showed you how to manage the consent, how to send smart events to Microsoft Clarity as well. If you have any questions, you can ask them below in the comments.